Man, it's like, Gary, this is how I'd describe today. Okay. Opening day is like when you are just back at school, you're seeing all your friends and you're getting like familiar with everything. Like there's similarities to the previous year, but there's also differences. And that's what I saw with this Yankees team today. So I'm excited to dive into it. Huge win. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care that it's just 1-0. You want to start the right way. They did it last year. They do it again this year. 4-2 win over the Brewers, who I think are going to be competing to get into the playoffs this year. So this isn't just, chopped liver. So I'm excited to talk about it, man. This was fun watch, in a lot of aspects. I mean, it did bring us back, and I'm sure the hairline, kind of went downhill for you when it came to, watching Devin Williams pull his best Clay Holmes impression. But look, they got the win, so who cares?
Yeah, no, actually what stressed me out the most today was watching Juan Soto strike out in the 9th inning of a game.
Oh, yeah.
That was tough to watch. It was very difficult. But no, in all seriousness, I think what it was that we were waiting to see, right? Austin Wells, I think that was one of the players that, you look at the promotion in the lineup. He's our leadoff hitter now. It's not traditional. He's not going to try to steal 50 bags. It's more of a Kyle Schwarber-like role. And his job is going to be to get on base and create traffic for guys like Aaron Judge, who came through today with a very wonky hit. And then you have Cody Bellinger right behind him. So those guys are going to have to deliver. And we had a ton of guys on the base paths today. You have to like that. And then I actually brought up, I think it was on social media, I said that it was interesting watching ground balls in the infield, and I didn't have to feel, it's almost like stressed out every time the ball hits the ground. I didn't feel that way today, even though we had that strange play at first base with Rodon, but it seemed like our defense was better today. It was a tough day in the field, very windy, but this team in general, if you want to know what games are going to look like, they're going to look like this. Games are going to be close every day. We're probably not going to go out there and win 12-2, right? You brought this up, Jake. Games are going to be ugly, right? And we're going to have to find a way to be smarter, play with more. We're going to have to play with more intention, right? You're not just going to be able to show up and play a sexy brand of baseball, the Yankees that you're used to. We're going to have to go, okay, Weaver, Williams, get quality starts out of our starters. If we want any chance to win, we did that today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to touch on it because I just felt like there were so many different instances where you looked at this team as opposed to last year and you saw this is an upgrade in this. This is an upgrade in this. Shout out to Apex. First one of the new season. First super chat of the new season. $800 million strikeout. Soto magic. Yeah, we'll stick to Luka magic on that one.
Yeah, don't forget, by the way, that was a Clay Holmes start. It was the craziest day.
He was not bad. I got to give him credit. That is not easy to do because we talked about it with what's his face with the Giants last year. Totally forgot his name. But Hicks.
Oh, you're talking about the power closer, yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Hicks. Dude can throw 99. So they're like, all right, well, he doesn't need to be a relief pitcher. We could just turn him into a starter. And that is not easy to do. I feel like people took Michael King and were like, we can do that. I mean, every team did that in some capacity with somebody on the roster. The Mets, they might be onto something with Clay Holmes. I don't know what they did. I don't know what they worked on. He gave him some length based on the fact that I didn't think he would give him any length. And he looked all right. So, good for him. Juan Soto struck out to end the game in a brutal fashion. That was terrible strikeout.
Oh, so you saw the video. Yeah, it was
horrendous.
It wasn't good.
Yeah. I also have no idea what their plan is, but this isn't, Mets Unloaded. This is Yankees Unloaded. So while they figure out what they're doing with their lineup, the Yankees actually already have their lineup that I feel really confident in. These are the 9 guys they feel confident in right now. And actually, Gary, we'll get into it more, but because I want to section it off. But I think they're going to have a really tough decision on a veteran who's been hurt, and I'm not talking about DJ LeMahieu. I'm talking about Giancarlo Stanton, because I kept thinking today. I watched all of spring training with Ben Rice, and I kept thinking today, what happens if Ben Rice, you get to the middle of the season, he's got 25 bombs, whatever, right? He's just hitting the cover off the ball. He's hitting 280, right? And then Stanton's back. Are you going to just bench Ben Rice? You're not going to put him at first because you're paying, X amount of dollars to Goldschmidt, and you're not going to put him behind the plate because you have Austin Wells. Like, that creates a decision. And I don't know. And I mean, that carries into October as well, if that's what it comes down to. I mean,
I don't know. They have options. So
they do.
I think in general,
it's not a bad
he
thing.
is playing well, but this is a guy who's making 30 plus million a year, right?
Oh, I know.
And it's not our choice, obviously, but from what we've seen out of Giancarlo, and of course, this is game one, right? Rice may be atrocious by then. Who knows?
Absolutely.
So, but if he is raking, I think the Yankees are going to take it as, oh, this is just a great problem to have. It doesn't matter what we choose. It's still good. You go with Giancarlo. He's shown, okay, when he's healthy, he's going to do damage. It's the reason we're putting him out there, right? He had a great October in 2024. So that would be their reasoning. But then if you have a player who's playing well and you decide to go with him, then none of us are going to complain that the hot bat is playing. So I think in general, either way you slice it, it doesn't matter how well he plays or anybody else that takes a designated hitter role, even if that was Jason Dominguez, it could be anybody. We're, I think, going to welcome whatever decision that is. The only decision that would upset people is if you're putting someone who's poor performing on the field because of a contract, right? And that's not necessarily on the table. So I did want to bring up the question because I really liked how Carlos Rodon looked today. I think in general, when you look at the game plan of how he's pitched in New York, he has a pretty simple game plan. He's trying to get ahead with fastballs. Those fastballs are usually up. That's his game plan. And he is going to try and put you away with a slider. But you did see today he was working a sinker into that game plan. That's something that's different. Usually, if he falls behind in the count, you're assuming at some point or another before this at-bat's over, he's going to groove a fastball, and a hitter is either going to be great and make him pay, or they're going to be less than great and make him not pay, right? And that is the difference between a quality start with Rodon and not, is whether or not hitters on the opposing side are doing damage on pitches middle when he's behind in the count. And I thought today, if you watched every single at-bat that he threw, there were times where he fell behind in the count and he went to a 2-0 changeup. He went to a 2-1 sinker, and he didn't give hitters an opportunity where they were essentially going to sit dead red and just wait on a pitch that they know is coming. He gave him a little wrinkle today, and I thought it actually paid off.
Yeah, I thought Rodon had command. I thought he was hitting the corners well. We had texted about it, but when you're a four-seam fastball type of leading pitcher, you are going to give up that home run occasionally, especially at Yankee Stadium. It is funny, though, the rhetoric and the narrative, how it just works one way and not the other.
Yes.
I don't know. And I also don't think people realize that, like, we talk about the short porch and right, but the left dimensions, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's silly. So shout out to Jonathan, who became a member of our channel. Appreciate you. I'll actually
throw that up for you.
Yeah. No, Mark, love that Devin had tougher outing, get it out of the way, see the crowd respond and support and be in it. On side note, Chef, you can play for the Yanks with that cut now. Jake, are you recovered from Cooper leaving yet? I'm totally fine with Cup leaving. But as far as it's true. And you know what's funny, actually, watching today, and thank you, Mark, by the way, for the 20. That's awesome. And I wanted to give this some light because our newest member put this.
I think I saw this tweeted. I think Jonathan, I saw this on X that he needed a drink right away. I didn't get a chance to respond, but
I got my drink here.
If you watch this team with any regularity, you are going to need a drink. And to answer Mark's point,
unsweetened iced tea.
It was sort of strange to see the Yankees out there with beards. It didn't bother me. I know that there were some people who probably watched today and were just sick to their stomach and just obviously growing up with something different, right? But it was nice. I think watching that Devin Williams outing, I think part of me was like, oh, well, here we go. But then all of a sudden you saw what makes him a closer, right? He gets back on the horse. It doesn't just unravel. Sort of what you saw last year when Clay Holmes was on the mound was like, okay, if it doesn't look good at the beginning, it's probably going to look that way until this outing's over. And then we're just going to see what it looks like a couple days from now. But Devin Williams showed, okay, this is why they brought me in. It can look one way for a couple of hitters, but I'm going to figure something out while I'm out here. And that's something that Matt Blake's going to trust as the season goes on, right? Aaron Boone is going to trust, because there's a lot of guys that go out on the mound and you can tell 2 hitters in, this guy doesn't have it. Devin Williams, after 2 outs, gets strike 1, and you can see a switch was flipped. And then all of a sudden you see the crowd start to get on their feet and you say, okay, I feel like we're in the driver's seat again. This is something that great arms can do in this game. And obviously this isn't going to be close to the biggest moment that he's a part of this year. And we have to hope that we've got enough talent to bring him somewhere that matters.
Yeah, I think the thing with Devin Williams, and I mean, I texted you this, I think it was, the thing that really needs to be understood here is that this guy is coming from the Brewers. And I think immediately when you hear that, you're like, oh, well, he's going to be pitching with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, yeah, you could say that's true. Thank you, Stephanie. You could say that's true, right? But Gary, you know how I looked at it as soon as he came in? They are familiar with this pitcher. They've seen him a lot. And this is almost the same exact roster as last year. Think about that. It's the same roster except for Willie Adames is gone. Like, it's almost the same exact lineup. That was the first thing. So they're really familiar with him. You saw him. You saw them waiting on, that really sitting on that changeup that he throws. Like, because you could tell that they had experience against it. So I wasn't surprised by that. 1, 2, Devin Williams is coming off an injury. Like, just because he pitched in spring training doesn't mean that like he's all the way back yet. You have to rev up. We talk about the rev up process. I don't think he got enough reps in spring training to rev up, so to speak. And he didn't look great in spring training. So small sample size, didn't look great. Now you have the familiarity factor where they know what you're going to do. And he knows, the different hitter tendencies. I think it meant way more. There was way more of an advantage for the Brewers hitters than there was for Devin Williams' familiarity with the hitters. That's how I feel. And then number 3, what I would say here is that not only do you have all of that in play, but you also have a team that this is how the Brewers win games. They literally sit there and they wait until the end and they try. And if you ever watched WWE before, they're like the guy in the Royal Rumble that hides under the ring, pops out, and then tries to shove the guy over the top rope when they least expect it. That has always been the Brewers' level of play. I mean, we saw it last year with Ortiz when he had the walk-off against the Yankees.
So what you're saying is we're going to be stressed out again in another game in this series?
Oh, yeah. Good luck with your hair, man.
So far, so good. 2024, I feel like in general should have been the end of my hairline, but I mean, we're doing okay for ourselves. I think in general, I'm calloused to the gameplay at this point. It doesn't matter what happens. But I mean, to your point, it's a scrappy group. Milwaukee, absolutely. You lose a Corbin Burns. No one expected them to go win a division after that. They just go do it anyway, right? And this team clearly, they have heart, and they're not just going to quit just because we lose talent. We're going to go out there just like we saw out of Houston, right? They lose Garrett Cole. They lose a Springer. They lose a Correa. No one expects them to do much. And then all of a sudden the following year, and now we know better, right? Okay, these teams are just going to be there. Milwaukee's one of those teams where you just make the assumption they're going to find a way to be there, even if they lose huge talent. So as far as I'm concerned of what I watched today, I was happy. When you look at the bottom of this lineup and Volpe and Rice and Cabrera, they're going to have to do something this year. There's not going to be a time where we can go a month and a half and say, okay, it's going to be Judge, Bellinger, or Bellinger and Goldschmidt just putting on a 2-man show and carrying the roster for 6 weeks. That's not going to happen. Okay. This Yankees team is going to have to do it in a different way offensively. Obviously, fundamentals are going to have to improve with this team. And I think even though you lose a Juan Soto, and maybe people can find consolation in the fact that, okay, fundamentally we'll be better just by that loss defensively. Okay. But you still have to be fundamental. That play from Rodon today at first base was ugly. Okay. Didn't look good. But there was one more play. I wanted to bring it up, and it was probably going to be the last negative thing on the show, was going to be the play where Cody Bellinger, actually on a pass ball, moves over to third base, and I see Jazz Chisum sitting at first base. Obviously, in that situation, you need to be paying attention to who's at second and move to second base. Now we have 2 runners in scoring position, In an off chance where Volpe does get a hit, you're talking about blowing the game wide open as opposed to scoring one run. So my opinion on this team is that we don't have as much talent. I still really like this team, but in order for a 90-win team to go win something that matters, rather than being hyper-focused on things that happen in maybe one game, at the end of this season, we're going to have to say, yeah, we're much smarter this year. Like, we are making smarter plays in 2025 than we did last year. And if we can do that, I think we have enough talent here. I think we have good enough coaching where we can say, okay, it's not out of the question for us to still go out there and win this division. Because if you look around, Baltimore didn't get much better. If anything, they could have gotten worse, right? Boston did get much better. Okay?
Yes.
That's an 82-win team. So we're going to have to justify going where we're going to go. This is not going to be a shoe-in. There's not going to be any runaways. This Yankees team's got to play smarter, and then we're, of course, going to have to develop. Guys like Volpe are going to have to be more consistent offensively, and I really like the at-bats today. Going the other way, obviously, with Wells leaving the yard. So it was exciting. I thought Rodon did exactly what he had to do. The last thing you want to do is put pressure on Fried right behind him where you have a bad start from your now ace. I thought this was a good step in the right direction.
I agree with you. I really think you can build off a game like this. You can build off of it from Devin Williams' standpoint, the confidence. Okay, I got out of this. Not only did I get out of this, I beat my former team. I beat my former team that knows everything that I do and who I am. And I saved the day. While putting us in danger, I got us out of it, still struck out too. Then you have Rodon. Rodon has had an up and down career with the Yankees. I would say more so he's had some ups than downs. I think he had the bad year, but I think overall, I think he's been a good signing. I do. And I think today he showed that. I mean, looks really comfortable with the beard now. But, the 7 strikeouts, really like what I saw there. And again, just commanding, the corners, really hitting the corners. I will say this. I thought the home plate umpire was one of the better ones that I've seen, this year, last year. I mean, I thought he was really good, which I'm going to give credit because it's very rare where I actually find a home plate umpire is really good. He missed a few, but I'm expecting that. I'm expecting you to miss at least 5. But when you're missing 10, 12, 14, that's when it. Yeah.
Do you want this system? Do you want that system involved? Because personally, I thought it was pretty good.
I do, because it's so quick. If it took a long time, here's why I think you can't really make an argument against it when you have in the NBA now these challenges that take 10 minutes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, he's challenging the foul. And then they go and they look at it. And then the announcers are like, all right, can we hurry this up? You have the announcers saying that. But with this, it's it's done pretty quickly. So I think that is I think that's what it should be. And I'm sure that's where we're trending, probably in the next 2 years. I know they're trying to fine tune it, but at the same time, I thought it looked pretty good during spring training. I didn't have any issue with it. But yeah, confidence building from Devin Williams, confidence building from Carlos Rodon, going up against a flamethrower in Freddie Peralta and having some success. I mean, he still struck out 8, not trying to take that away, but being able to leave the yard, I thought that was a big deal. Ronnie, what up? Yes, it could be a roller coaster season. It could.
Definitely could be. That's for sure.
But I will say this, kind of looking, we'll bring this one up here in case you guys missed it. The home run from Austin Wells that was just absolutely tattooed over the right field wall. It's stuff like that, man, where you have Austin Wells at the top now. The confidence has got to be really high because, looking at what we see here, obviously his slugging isn't going to be, that's not going to stay, 1,300 slugging. But the point being is that Austin Wells doesn't have anybody he's not looking over his shoulder at all. Last year, despite the fact he started the first, 4 games, Gary? 5 games? Yeah. Trevino was always there. And Boone had multiple opportunities to commit to Austin Wells and really refused to. He really, you could see there was a real liking for Trevino. And I understood Trevino's usage. I understood, why they liked Trevino. But he started regressing to the point where there was no, So I like that now Austin Wells is not looking over his shoulder. He can go out there and he can mash the baseball. And I just really like his approach. I like that he saw this, up, this fastball up middle, and he smoked it. And I think with Wells, he's athletic. And I like that Joe Girardi brought this up on the broadcast. Man, I missed Michael K today, but I thought those guys did a good job. I did. But Joe Girardi today said something that makes a ton of sense to me, is that, look, Austin Wells is going to be brought in by Aaron Judge. You're assuming at the best case anyway. So a home run doesn't take away from Aaron Judge. Not getting on base takes away from Aaron Judge.
Sure.
But now you already have that run banked in. And now you have Aaron Judge coming up to the plate with a 1-0 lead. And that's how you can start to take over games early on. And I think this is what the Yankees are going to have to do. I think they're going to have to try and take over games like the way they did today. You might sound crazy, but you see these 2 runs here, and this is taking over the game. This is going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be tough. Peralta's a good pitcher. Rodon's a good pitcher. This is going to be low-scoring. It's going to be close because they're scrappy. These 2 runs allowed them to control the entirety of the game. Even though they had that home run in the third, it really allowed them to control the entirety of the game. And this obviously isn't sustainable to do this every single game. But when you can, it really puts a lot of pressure. And when you have a game like this where, Judge strikes out twice, he didn't hit the home run. It's Austin Wells. Well, now it picks Judge up a little bit, right? Now it picks up a Cody Bellinger or a Paul Goldschmidt when you have, Anthony Volpe hitting a home run. And then you have guys like, I thought Ben Rice had some great at-bats today. I'm really excited about his development. I thought Oswaldo Cabrera, which let's not forget, around this time last year, Gary, Oswaldo Cabrera had a blistering hot start. And what really cooled him down was when they started benching him for DJ LeMahieu. So
yeah, DJ got healthy, and then all of a sudden you started seeing the narratives of, okay, well, this is a guy that we plan on playing. It was sort of the situation that you just brought up, right, with Giancarlo. Giancarlo is going to be a player. He's obviously dealing with tennis elbow in both elbows, okay? He's going to come back, and if there was a player who was just setting it off for whatever reason that there was, well, that player would hope that there's some type of role for them. And if there's not, objectively speaking, you can't ask players why they look over their shoulder or why they can't maintain consistency. And what you bring up with Austin Wells now isn't going to be platooning. Okay. We're not going to be showing up to the field every other day saying, where's Wells? Oh, today, thank goodness Boone decided to go back to back with Wells. Yeah. Players need to know, when I'm showing up to the field, what am I doing today? And if you're not on the field every other day, you have to wonder as a player, why am I not? What is it that I don't show? Okay. And when all of a sudden you see, not only is Austin Wells going to be slated to play every day, he's now going to be hitting leadoff in front of Aaron Judge. That sends a huge message to him that we're not just expecting you to be a starter for this team. We're expecting you to be one of the key contributors. So this is not surprising in any way to see what Austin Wells is doing, obviously what he did in the spring. And I'm expecting this to get much better. Kid Reyes with the super chat, we appreciate the 10, says, baseball is back when these 2 goats come back. MVP of the game is third base bag, though. And Kid Reyes is, of course, bringing up what happened with Aaron Judge. Yeah, putting the ball in play, you can get lucky. Isn't that magical how that works? Is that, and I think in this game, they brought it up on the broadcast, thankfully. The ESPN broadcast, I thought they did a pretty decent job. They brought up Cody Bellinger's ability to put the ball in play, his percentage of at-bats that turn into contact. And I think in general, that's going to be the story of this offense. If you look at this offense, you say, okay, Austin Wells can run, right? Aaron Judge, he's not going to be taken off a ton, but you look at the rest of the lineup, right? Jazz Chisum, Dominguez, Volpe. Grisham actually made an attempt today, got hosed on a close play. Rice, probably not fleet of foot. Cabrera can run. We now, more than half our lineup, can actually run the base pass. And is it great to have 2 perennial all-stars that are going to slug 40-plus homers? Yes, of course. It's probably a much easier way to score runs, but you can skin the cat 2 different ways. And I think this right here is more of a grinders lineup that, of course, at some point or another, we're going to have to say, who are the big sexy guys who are driving in all the runs? It's going to have to be somebody. And right now with Bellinger slotted in at the 3 spot, think Aaron Boone is saying, I think he's going to be one of those guys. And you saw it today with a sac fly. He knows what to do in terms of being a run producer. He's won an MVP before. This Yankees team in general, this isn't they signed a bunch of 35-year-olds to give us contributions. No, they brought in Goldschmidt, right? He's the one aging player they did bring in. But the rest of what they did, I thought they did this offseason about as well as you could have when you lose something like you lost in Juan Soto. There's no hiding around that, right? Of course, we laugh about what he did today, having struck out, but you can use talent like that anywhere. Anyone would love to have it. So as far as I'm concerned with what happened today, I thought in general, I thought Peralta pitched very well.
I did
for
too.
Milwaukee. I thought he was very good. Of course, it helps when the zone is somewhat around where it's supposed to be. This is part of the reason why I like the challenge system, but you're not going to get everything you want. And obviously their leadoff hitter today, it looked like a double agent for the Yankees. He was 0 for 5 with 5 Ks.
Jackson Chorio.
Yeah, he was atrocious today.
Well, and I gotta give the Yankees a lot of credit, because if he gets going, he's a streaky player. He can be a problem, and they took him completely out of the game. And when you take a leadoff hitter out of the game, well, now that's like a giant weight on your legs. You can't even move. You're being thrown in the ocean with stones tied to your legs, because when that guy comes up at the plate, he can't come through. It's just that whole day when you've struck out 4 times. You think Jackson Chorio at 5th at bat, you think it's going to be any different? No, he's a young player. Now he's starting to second guess everything that he worked on all throughout the week and what have you. And I think that's what you saw. I think they took him out of the game. And I think they did a really nice job at the top of the order. I mean, Joey Ortiz always has success against the Yankees. So I was expecting him to have success against the Yankees. But, I thought they did a nice job of really shutting down Contreras, Yelich, Jackson Chorio. I like that Hoskins is back from the ACL. I hope he has a good year, but like guys like that at the top of the lineup, they did a nice job of kind of like neutralizing them. And there were 7 hits in this game. The reason why it felt like the Yankees had more hits is because more guys hit the ball. There was no multi-hit Yankees. However, there were 2 on the Brewers, Frelick and Joey Ortiz. So yeah, I thought, you got kind of a little bit of everything. It was almost like a starter pack, or, a free sampler of what the Yankees are going to be. You saw instantaneously Jazz Chisum at second base in the range. I still think the maximized range for him would be at third, but I see the vision at second, and you still see, just because he is, closer to first base doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability. He doesn't have the room to make those big time plays. And, he made those. So that's what I would say about that, man.
Did you see who we face next, by the way? I'm sure you saw it.
Nestor Cortez. It's going to be Nestor Cortez taking on Max Fried.
It just dawned on me, right? Because, of course, there were a ton of posts today about what's going on with Tampa in their home field, playing at George Steinbrenner. For those of you who don't know, okay, they're playing at our spring training facility in Tampa, which is ironic because now the Tampa Bay Rays are actually going to play in Tampa instead of St. Petersburg. But I'll digress on that. But there's a lot on the plate for any arm in the American League East. All these guys like Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and these conversations about sinker ballers and keeping the ball in the yard. Imagine how much harder it's going to be in 2025 to keep the ball in the yard. We're going to see some crazy stats. Reason being, you were essentially getting 2 Yankee stadiums in division.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely
understated. So it's going to be interesting to see, because our style of play is more about pitching, defense, fundamentals, timely hitting. And then suddenly the ballparks suggest that it's going to be a boombox. And of course, it's a little overstated about Yankee Stadium, where every ball goes out, right? If there's a ball to left center field that goes 415 feet, it doesn't go out at Yankee Stadium. They don't talk about those dimensions. They only talk about right field. But I will say, when we go to Tampa and we're outdoors and it is 100 degrees, the ball is going to fly. So these sinkers that Max Fried's going to be throwing, the sinker that Carlos Rodon introduced, those are going to be important pitches as the season goes on. So it'll be interesting. Just because you throw a sinker doesn't mean it'll just work and everyone's just going to hit ground balls. It's not really how it works. But we're going to pay attention to how, like, what those results even look like.
And that signing of Ryan Yarbrough, who I think literally generates the softest contact in the league. Yeah, he's going to be huge for that.
Yeah, close to it.
You had actually brought to my attention, actually real quick, I wanted to throw this at you because we're talking about field dimensions and all this. And, you know, we don't just talk about the Yankees, we talk about the league at times. And I thought this was really interesting. So a friend of mine, he covers the Mariners. And he was telling me, I don't know if you knew this. You probably do because you know baseball. He was saying, he's like, everyone says how we have the best pitching. He's like, no. He's like, just like how everyone says the Yankees have this benefit because of all the softball field that they play in. He's like, the Mariners have the worst batter's eye in baseball. And that is why pitchers do as well as they do there. Isn't that fascinating? Like, it's widely regarded as the worst batter's eye in baseball. It is really hard to see the ball. So
I haven't heard that. I mean, I did hear that Chase Field is the opposite. Like, people just love hitting there. But I don't know. It seems like I would need the numbers to compare, right?
Yeah.
And is it possible that Mariners hitters just can't hit? They don't want to bring in anyone that can hit because it's just a terrible place to hit? Is it possibly why, like, a Julio Rodriguez isn't able to take that next step? I'm not able to draw that conclusion unless I have the numbers in front of me. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I just don't like to put the reasoning for why results are happening for the entire team.
Well, I was surprised he wasn't like playing homer. He wasn't defending his pitchers. He was actually kind of saying, yeah, their numbers look as good as they do because they constantly pitch there more than anybody. And the batter's eye is why they're regarded as the worst in the league. And hitters really have a hard time locating the ball and seeing it. And I thought that was really fascinating because I've never really thought of that. I kind of just thought that there was a regulation where the league went through and was like, yeah, the batter's eye has to be this. You have to have this amount of hue or whatever. And I just assumed every league, every stadium followed it. But apparently, Safeco's a little different. So
I feel like probably not. We played a baseball game in a cornfield and gave up a walk-off homer to Tim Anderson.
Oh,
so
God.
like
the only thing he's ever done in his career.
Yeah, I don't know what the regulations possibly could be, but I honestly don't know. So obviously we don't really have high reviews for the ESPN broadcast. I think the broadcast,
I liked it.
I wouldn't say so here's my feeling on it. Obviously I'm a huge fan of Michael Kay. You're going to have mixed feelings on this, but
yeah,
in my opinion, we pay a lot of money to watch Major League Baseball, and a lot of people today struggled to even turn the broadcast on for whatever reason that there would be. But when we pay that type of money, we should be able to command who's going to cover the game. And in my opinion, when I watch Yankees baseball, the Yankees baseball broadcast should be on. They shouldn't be able to just like pimp the rights to ESPN or any other network. Like, I really don't care about
it's funny you say that
business side. I just don't like it.
Yeah, so with the Lakers, I don't know if they always call the game. Stu and I forgot the other guy's name. I actually really like the Lakers announcers, but I know that there are times where they're on NBA TV and the Lakers have their own broadcast. So I'm listening to the opposing team and they're complaining about not getting a call. And I'm like, this is incredibly biased. And the Lakers announcers aren't biased. They get so much crap for not being biased. And they're going on another thing. And people are like, what are you talking about? Why are you tweeting that? Like, I'm just like, I got this Orlando Magic announcer that's basically complaining every time Luka gets called, gets a foul.
They literally it's almost like they plugged an HDMI from a TV in that broadcast, and then they just shoot it to ESPN or they shoot it to NBA. Yeah, they don't do that.
They do not do that.
In baseball, they're like, oh yeah, so what happened here, this is going to be Brewers Yankees. And of course, everyone's going to watch this because they want to see what's going to happen. No Juan Soto, all this stuff. So we want to nationally televise this. They just made a World Series. And then instead of them being able to watch their home broadcast, this is a perfect opportunity for us to consume viewership, because viewership will be down in day 3 and 4 of the regular season as compared to game 1. So we're going to force them to listen to our broadcast, and then they can go watch Michael Kay in game 2 through 140. That's lame. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so lame. And Stephanie, thank you for becoming a member. I want to make sure I throw that up on the screen. Yeah, you can click it. We went and double clicked it. So yeah, we appreciate that.
We appreciate you.
But it is sort of insane to me that I don't get that opportunity. Right? I don't get that control, and it's not cheap to to watch these games. It's not cheap. So yeah, my feeling on it is this: if you're a Yankees fan, just the totality of what you saw today, you should be happy. Okay. The Yankees aren't laying down. It seems like they're committing to the fact that Wells has to be pretty good this season. It's not going to look like last year where you'd say, okay, I think you can almost give it a run for rookie of the year. And you need to have a great year for that to happen, but he needs to take it to another level. It needs to go somewhere else. And no longer can it be, that was a solid season. He needs to be great. He's at leadoff. Cody Bellinger is going to be, he needs to be opportunistically great. You're going to have Wells and Judge on the base pass all year long. Those guys aren't going to struggle to get on the bases. They're just not. We've watched them enough to know this. Cody Bellinger's been around the block enough to know if there's a man on first and second, nobody out, third and second with one out, I have to cash in here. He did that today, right? Even he didn't have the greatest day, but you get a 1 for 2 from him. And he knows, okay, I need to drive the ball to the outfield to put a run up on the board. We've got a great staff. I don't need to do the crazy thing, the heroic thing all the time. He's going to have a great season. Paul Goldschmidt, he knows I need to be serviceable against right-handers, dominant against left-handers. He knows this. The Yankees have predominantly struggled against left-handed pitching. He needs to do exactly that. So if you look at this Yankees team, the Yankees, when they put out a Volpe, when they put out a Rice, they put out a Cabrera, I mentioned some of these guys are just going to have to play. Dominguez, they're just going to have to play. And it's not going to look like, well, they got a lot better. They just need to be good. Sometimes you need to put young players on the field and expect them to just be good. That is literally all it is. You saw it in Houston from Pena. They go out there and practically, right, they go deep into an October run when none of us expected that to happen. Right? We just talked about the veteran presence that they lost, but they put the confidence in young players. And to be quite honest with you, our audience has been asking for certain young players to get this opportunity to grab the wheel and drive for an extended period of time and see what they do, because they may surprise you. Now, of course, if we get long-term, as the kids would call it, cheeks, you've been bad, horrible, then and only then you get to the trade deadline. You say, okay, where's the veteran presence that I can make the assumption he's going to give me an output. Then you replace those young players, but you can't just leave a Rice down in the minor leagues, leave a Cabrera in a role where he barely touches the field and then expect anyone to get better. So I liked what we saw today. I thought they didn't take Rice off the field when we saw the lefty out the bullpen. I thought in general, this was just a properly played game by the Yankees.
I would definitely agree with that. And I would also encourage people to not put too much stock into the way it ended, because I don't think that should take away from literally controlling a game from inning 1 to inning 9. I agree. I have MLB TV, couldn't watch the Yankee game. See,
this is my mother, by the way.
I know. And see, this is my issue with Gary, I told you I had the Yes app last year. I get an email like 2 weeks ago, and they're like, the Yes app isn't going to show Yankee games. I'm like, the hell you mean it's not going to show Yankee games? So I had to get like this new thing called like Gotham Sports, like we're in like Batman or something. And it's
called Gotham Sports.
It's some here, I'll look it up. It's like Gotham Sports. It's probably important to share with our listeners because you might not even know how to watch your Yankees. It's the home of MSG Plus and Yes. So apparently Yes fused with Gotham Sports.
Okay.
And it's like you have to, I don't like the way they do it, because it's like you have to buy everything. So it's like, oh yeah, you're not just getting it for the Yankees, you're getting the Brooklyn Nets and the Knicks and the Devils. I am a Devils fan, but that's not the point. It's just like the Rangers, the Islanders and the Sabres. So it's like they put them all on one app, but like I don't want one app. You see what I'm saying? Like I think that's just really stupid. And I guess really what I'm getting at here is the reason why I even need to buy this thing is because I don't have cable. I have YouTube TV, which, it is cable, but they don't have a deal with Yes. So now I have to buy $25 a month. I have to buy their thing. And I just wish that, like, to your mom's point, like, why are we paying these things? And like, so I pay $25 a month and then, you also have to have Apple TV Plus, which I do have, but I'm kind of agreeing with some of the people that have an issue with that. You spent $25 a month on Gotham Sports TV or whatever. You have to have Amazon Prime to watch this game. I just feel like it's such a disservice, especially this is not the NFL. This is the MLB that has had it's America's pastime, but it's had its popularity wrestled away by the likes of UFC, by the likes of the NBA, by the likes of the NFL. Hell, even the NHL got an ESPN deal. So now they're starting to come. So like, I just feel like this is the worst thing that you can do for an audience. Like you're building back your audience. There were a lot of people that stopped watching baseball and they're back, whether they want to admit it or not. A lot of people are back, Gary, because of the pitch clock. They're quicker games. You're not sitting there for 5 hours. You're watching a 2.5 to 3 hour game. And that's consistent. And I just feel like this is kind of, you're losing the plot. But I appreciate the compliment from your mom.
Yeah, I guess the conclusion that my mom's bringing up as well, and a lot of people have brought this up, is that it's becoming a hassle to put the game that you want on and to have it called by who you want. That's the conclusion.
It is.
Why is it so difficult? And I think my mom texted me. I'm fairly certain she did. And she said, why is it that I'm struggling with this like ESPN thing? And then, well, why is it this? Because I'll tell you this, when I clicked the MLB app today, I'll be completely honest with you. As soon as I clicked it, it said, oh, yeah, this is a nationally broadcasted game. Basically told me to piss off. That's what it said. Okay.
Then they'll get mad at you for watching on Stream East. Make that make sense.
And that's exactly where I went. I think it was called like crack streams, something else. I'm being totally serious. And
I know you are. That's why it's
people
funny.
Can laugh at it all they want, but the facts of the matter is that I'm not going to now repurchase cable. Okay. I just want to be able to watch the games. And most young people, which is supposedly who you're after. Okay. Supposedly Major League Baseball wants us to believe that their core audience, that they find most important, is going to be the fact that somebody graduates college, they love the game of baseball already, their parents kind of introduced them to the game, and now as a young adult, they're for sure going to spend their time and money on this sport. Okay? That's what they want me to believe. Because if you do that, now all of a sudden they have kids later on, and they bring those kids now into the game. It's like this never-ending supply of money and attention. Great. What are you doing to try and help facilitate that? Are you going in the direction the young people are going in, which is that they've got their phones right here, or that they've got their computer right next to them and they're ready to stream a game? Are you doing what needs to be done so that they can watch this game today, the 4-2 game, right, of the Yankees beating Milwaukee? Did they see that? There were a lot of people today who were like, oh, I don't have ESPN. And then they took off. But for me, I have no shame in it whatsoever. Yeah. Shout out to Crack Streams. I have no shame in it whatsoever. There's almost like this stigma to these streams, but until you actually make it realistic for me to turn on this game, I think I have T-Mobile, so I get the MLB package for free. Okay. It just came.
I saw that.
My thing, which is amazing.
By the way, you only can get it if you're a New York resident. Last time I tried, so you can't get Gotham's.
Ridiculous.
This is like it. I have the money. Let me use the money. Like it's that simple. Like and actually, it's funny because I just got the NBA package to watch the Lakers, and Samsung TV doesn't have an app for it. So I have to literally boot up my PlayStation 5 and watch it on the PlayStation 5 app. I shouldn't have to do that.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Streaming services have their issues, but when it comes to sports, good God, they are all over the place. Wanted to bring up Cody Potit. He was DFA'd. You texted me that by Chicago. Fun fact. He was traded for Cody Bellinger. Actually, a lot of people keep saying that the Yankees signed Cody Bellinger when in fact they did trade for him. They gave up so little for him that you just assume that they signed him.
They took the money, which is why we were able to give up so little.
Yeah. So Cody Potit is available. Doesn't have to be a long discussion. Had some really good success in a small sample size. Only 5 games pitched. 3-0. Had a 1.07 whip and a 2.22 ERA. Gary, are you riding with bringing back Cody Potit, or would you just, let the past be the past?
It's not something I'm going to freak out about, right? I mean, he's a roster depth addition, but we have to think about the things that are positive. Okay. And then we'll get to the super chat from Dan. Dan, we appreciate it. You can't understate the fact that a pitcher's already worked with a certain coach, right? In Matt Blake, that matters. Anytime you see somebody pitch in New York and they pitch well, we ask the question all the time, can this guy pitch in New York? He may pitch well in Cincinnati or in Miami, but if we bring him over here to pinstripes and he pitches in the Bronx, is he going to be the same guy? Well, Cody Potit, we know he's going to live around the strike zone, and he's going to do it on the big stage in New York. So yeah, if we brought him in, am I just expecting him to give us the exact same output he did last year where he was highly serviceable when guys went down? No, I'm not going to make that assumption about him because he's not that talented. And if he was, the Cubs wouldn't be giving him up for nothing. Okay. Yeah. But I wouldn't be upset about it. And I think Matt Blake in general, there's a reason they brought him up in the first place, and they actually gave him a leash to start those games and stay in games. So I think the Yankees wouldn't be opposed to doing this. Now, we have no information whatsoever if this is going to happen, but yeah, I'm not going to freak out if it did.
No, I'm not going to freak out either way. I just think it's kind of a no-brainer to at least kick the tires again because you already have everything, the medicals, the familiarity. There's unfinished business there. He didn't get a chance to really come back from the injury, was traded away. So I wouldn't be against bringing him back, but I'm not going to sit here and torch and pitchfork the Yankees because they don't. That is the best way I can explain that. I will say before we read this, the Marcus Strowman situation is the weirdest situation I can remember in Yankees baseball history. I mean, it is so bizarre. He clearly hates them. He's deleted them.
So?
He deleted them on all social media. Like I'm a starter. I'm not going to pitch in the bullpen. Does not want to be there. Like seriously, I think he still has friends on the team and whatnot, and I think people really vibe with him. But I think as an organization, he does not want to be a part of the Yankees, and I don't really blame him because I don't think they handled it particularly well. But he's slated to start on Sunday. So yeah, he's starting on Sunday against Aaron Savali, which by the way, they should wreck Savali if I still can't believe but anyway, that's not the point. Point being is that is the weirdest situation that I can recall. Maybe there's a weirder one, but
it would have been much worse if we were healthy. Because remember, now that Garrett Cole is now down, Luis Gil is now gone, right?
Well, that's why it's weird because
now we need him all of a sudden. So it's like, oh, never mind. We don't have this surplus.
Exactly. You were just so dead set on not paying him his $18 million.
No, I know. But if he pitches well, let's just say Marcus Strowman pitches well. This is just how human psychology works. If he dominates, right, on Sunday, and then he shows up for start 2, because we're going to say, it's just one start. But Yankees fans are pretty excited about one start still. And then all of a sudden you see start number 2, start number 3, and you go, oh, wow, Marcus Stroman's pitching well, which is not out of the question. He usually starts seasons very well. Okay?
Yeah, he does.
Then all of a sudden he's 3-0. The Yankees are scoring. Oh, look at them. Like the narrative now is they didn't need Juan Soto. It's ridiculous to say, but that's sort of what the conversation will be. And then before you know it, when you're performing well for a team that's winning, hardly ever do you see a disgruntled employee with a successful company, with somebody who's helping that success. I just think in general, he'd be like, oh, wow, they're excited for me again. And then he'll just kind of forget how this started. But if he stops pitching well,
yeah.
Oh boy.
he'll forget until they pull the rug at the deadline and trade him away. Because, I mean, they traded Monty away, and that was weird. But I understood the rationale behind it, but it was still weird. By the way, they were interested in Montgomery. He's going to have Tommy John surgery, so off the table. Real bummer there for him. I always liked him. All right, Dan, appreciate you. I saw your earlier comment. Didn't get around to it, but Dan watched our interview over on my channel, The Lounge, which I'll just shameless plug here because it's both of us.
Fun interview.
Yeah, fun interview. If you want to know more about Gary Sheffield Jr., check out my channel, The Lounge. I interviewed him, and it was a lot of fun. I even learned some things about you. So, and that's the whole point of an interview, right? So Dan was talking about that because we shouted him out from the kick days.
Yes.
So he appreciated that. And I'm sure that must have been kind of cool for Dan. Just like he's listening, all of a sudden we just name him, just like, But
yeah, Dan's the GOAT. He's been the GOAT since our streaming days. So, I mean, it was
absolutely
good. It was definitely good to bring him up there.
But, yeah.
I mean, I feel like Dan's comment was on the screen so long. It's going to be, remember the old TVs where if you left
the TV
on too long, the ESPN logo would just be burnt into the bottom right of the screen. Yeah, that would be Dan.
Oh, man. They get mad when we use streams, but a lot of viewers in the NYC, NJ area won't be able to watch Yankee games because Comcast, yes, are disputing. See, that is an abject failure, in my opinion. The fact that you have people that live in that community that can't watch the games is absolutely insane. And we also, we need to get rid of, Gary, we need to get rid of the what is it, the blackouts, dude. I live 3 hours away from the Rock where the Devils play. I'm not going to a game every night. Why is it blacked out in my area?
Well, because obviously, so Stephanie just became a member of ours, right? And she brought up the point that, I think it's only New York. Like you have to be in New York for that app to matter. Why would it be easier, and stay with me here, to watch a Yankees game being an Arizona resident than it would be if you live 30 miles from the ballpark? Explain that to me. I need it explained because I don't get it. It's never crossed my mind that there's sense anywhere close to it. And so we're just in a situation now where I think a lot of people, and yes, the Yankees technically, the Yankees and Dodgers have more fans outside of where they actually are in terms of location than they do inside. Okay. People do not realize how big this brand is. And you're going to punish people because they live where the team is. It just doesn't make any sense. It's forcing people to put their hand on cable television when that's not where young people are right now, which is my whole point, is that young people should have an easier time enjoying this game. And you forcing them to do cable, I'm here to tell you right now, there are no people. I consider myself a young person. I'm 31. I'm not young. Okay. No people my age even have cable. I don't know one person with DirecTV. I don't know one person with Cox. Not one person. But all of them tell me, I've got Apple TV. I've got Disney Plus. they've got YouTube TV, right? They watch our show with no ads. That's
Gary Plus.
Right. It doesn't make sense. It hasn't been explained to me yet. And obviously I'm genuinely looking to be educated on this. I don't get it. But Jake, I guess overall here, just to kind of circle it back to baseball, is that of course we're in a situation now where it seems like, okay, you start off 1-0. It's just one game. It's of 162. Great. But in terms of talent here, what are you expecting, right? Because this is not going to be a roster, at least in my opinion, unless we get some major steps in the right direction for a Jason Dominguez, which he hasn't really shown me the level I think he can go to yet. I'm going to need a monster performance from Dominguez. Volpe's going to have to be monstrous, right, for the foreseeable future. I think this team is just sort of going to be grinding away, right, at 500 baseball. Then they get hot. And then what is it that you're expecting? Because I think this roster, I'm trying to be more realistic with my expectations. What do you think is going to happen with this?
No joke. This is how I feel. I expect to go back to the World Series. I don't expect to win.
Oh, wow.
But I just don't think this AL is that great. I think it's going to be Yankees Boston in the ALCS.
I sort of agree with that. I really like Boston.
I do too.
Cleveland, I like too. I just think
but
people are really off of Cleveland just because obviously of what it looked like when we were walking off the field against them.
I mean, but Cleveland, they're still in the mix. And honestly, I won't even count out the Astros either. Because they always, that's the thing that's funny. People will be like, oh, well, they let Bregman go. You don't think they already have somebody waiting in the wings to replace Bregman? They do this all the time.
All the time.
Correa, they're going to let Carlos Correa go. That's a mistake. Except it wasn't, because Jeremy Pena is a great shortstop. Like,
they let Garrett Cole. First of all, we were losing to the Astros and Garrett Cole. And then we were like, yeah, we'll take Garrett Cole and then everybody. And that includes us and it includes
They won a World Series and the Yankees haven't since.
Was like, how is it possible that the Yankees aren't the favorites now? And then sure enough, we just went and lost to Houston multiple times later. So it just doesn't make as much of a difference as you think, losing an Alex Bregman or whoever. So yeah, Houston, they're going to have a shot. I still think they're going to win that division.
I like the Rangers
too. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the AL isn't like filled though. I'm not looking at these teams like, oh crap. Like, I think the Orioles are like, it's weird. I might be sleeping on them, but they're not being slept on by the public. So I just in turn think that they're kind of overrated, because how do you get to sit there and not do anything, just basically, tank for 7 years, have all those players, sure, but like all they did was get worse, in my opinion. I don't think they got better this year. You'd mention that. Oh my God, TiVo.
Yeah, I remember TiVo. Yeah, because I used to delete stuff I assume my mom watched, all the Judge Judy, which apparently, shout out to you, Alex, for saying that my background looked like a judge show. It's got major upgrades coming. They all just showed up in the mail like 5 minutes before we went live. It's going to get a lot better. We've got a day off tomorrow. I'm telling you, I'm going to be unrecognizable.
Hopefully I could still see you. Like unrecognized, he has like a camouflage backdrop. You just don't even see him.
What's that little thing again when you go on like a roller coaster like Space Mountain, or like just letting you know if you've got like epilepsy and all this stuff? The flashing lights is gonna go crazy. I'm telling you, wait till you see this. It's gonna go crazy.
Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, Alex is laughing in the comment section. Our guy DV. The blackout thing, I saw a video on this recently. I think it has something to do with people living in the local area can just go to the game, so they black it out for them. It's some old school thing. Yeah, exactly. It's an old school thing, and I think it's absolutely unfair. And think about it like this, right? It's like saying, this is really what it's like saying. If you have a band, one of your favorite bands is in town, and you listen to their music all the time. You can't make their show. So you know what they do? They find out that you couldn't make their show, so they block your IP from accessing their music.
That's cool.
Is that not the kind of the similar thing? You're basically saying, well, you couldn't go to my show. You couldn't go to the thing, so I'm not going to let you watch. Like, that's insane. It's just, to me, you vote with your dollar. And I've never once seen people complain about how much money it costs to watch the Yankees. I have seen people complain about how difficult it is to find the place to spend their money to watch the Yankees. Real quick, I wanted to bring up something about the game today that I really liked from Aaron Boone.
Okay.
The late in-game adjustment. You and I have been panicking about Jason Dominguez in left field defensively.
Yes.
Aaron Boone hears us. He hears us. He said, okay, end of the game, it's going to be very simple. We're going to move Trent Gisham in at center field, who's a great defensive player, and we're going to put Cody Bellinger in left. And I think it was Girardi or Buck that mentioned, like, oh, maybe this is what they're going to do. Like, this is going to be a pattern for the year. I hope it is, because I will sacrifice the bat of Jason Dominguez in the ninth inning if it means I don't have any sort of butterflies in my chest watching, the camera pan to the outfield and left field and you see Jason Dominguez look like a deer in the headlights. I have Cody
Grisham might get 200 at bats. Grisham may play a lot more than you think. Because if you think about it, essentially what we're doing, because you would assume this would only happen in a close game, right?
Batting 1,000, best on the team.
Right, exactly. So all of a sudden you're like, okay, we're up 3-2. Okay.
Yeah.
We clearly need to be good defensively at the end of this game. We're going to throw what you just brought up, Cody Bellinger in left field. Left field is the much tougher defensive assignment at Yankee Stadium. So that's why they do it. And then all of a sudden you throw Grisham in center field and Judge is out and right. Okay, great. It's the Yankees' best deployment you possibly can have. Okay. Then all of a sudden there's a blown save. Now you go into the 10th, right? And now you're going to start to see at-bats from a Trent Gisham with consistency all of a sudden. At every close game, is this what it's going to look like? Because that is interesting to me, that there's a player that you're just designating is going to be off the field towards the end of the game. That's kind of crazy. I'm not opposed to it, by the way. Not at all. Either.
I think you got to do what you got to do.
How old is he? You're getting pulled off the field. He's 22, and this is the right decision, technically.
Yeah, I have no issue. I think this is, you know what this is? This is Aaron Boone, put up or shut up. He's putting it up, right? He realizes this is a team. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not saying they should have, but they could have won that World Series against the Dodgers. There were little things that shot themselves in the foot and made that series look way more dominant than it actually was. They were in that series. They outplayed the Dodgers the first game. They blew it the last game. So that could have been a completely different series, but it was the little things. And Boone is saying, look, I'm putting my foot down. Those little things do matter. And he's telling us even as early as the first game of the year, we are going to take out our transcendent prospect, eliminate the bat, and be okay with it in favor of making sure that our defensive alignment is the best it can possibly be late in games when games are won and lost. I love that. I think that is the smart choice. I don't care what anyone says. And there's going to be people that have an issue, and I know there's going to be people that have an issue with this because they're going to be like, well, you're going to lose games because in the 9th inning, you're going to have, Jason Dominguez, who's supposed to come up to the plate, and then you got Trent Gisham. Well, actually, and I've been hard on Trent Gisham, right? But doesn't it feel like if you just had any random dude at the plate in the 9th inning, you couldn't have like an Aaron Judge, big name, just a random dude. Doesn't it feel like you'd want Trent Gisham if you need a home run? You need a big time hit?
Well, I feel like a random home run, sure. I don't want him up. For me personally, no. I don't want him up in any clutch situation.
No, I'm not necessarily saying I want the game to count on him. But like I can live, like he still is a capable bat. He can hit a home run here and there. He had a nice piece of hitting today. But kind of because I think we pretty much covered everything. But to wrap this up, Gary, I got the roster here for 2025. I want to go over it. I think this is the best way to end the show.
The Abraham Lincoln. It really is, dude. He looks like God. He is just like he's George Washington, just cutting down an apple tree.
You love that.
I love that saying, dude.
Oh man.
It's
it's pedigree. You got the Garyisms. Anyway, let's bring up this little thing here. So we got the roster. And ignore the comments. I am not liable to anything that's in those comments.
Wait, who made this roster sheet? It looks like a happy hour menu at Chili's.
It's funny because the Yankees official team did.
No, they didn't.
I am not kidding. Is there a way to enlarge this?
Oh man, fire the intern.
Oh, okay. I guess not. All right. Well, we'll just pretend it's enlarged. So, okay. Looking at the pitchers, Gary, we got Carlos Carrasco, Fernando Cruz, Max Fried. I think they could have, they definitely could have done this better, like maybe showing the starting pitchers in the relief. Anyway, Max Fried, Yoendris Gomez, who, by the way, was down to he had no options, so they would have had DFA him, had a good camp. Brett Hedrick, Tim Hill, who worked out of some trouble today. Shout out to him. Mark Leiter Jr., who had 2 strikeouts today. Shout out to Mark Leiter Jr. I didn't think he'd be on this roster if you asked me in August last year. Carlos Rodon pitched well. Marcus Strowman, Will Warren, Luke Weaver looked really good today. Devin Williams and Ryan Yarbrough, who's literally going to turn your bat to mush. Then you got J.C. Escara, who I feel, I'm not going to lie, guys. JC Escara gets me excited because if Austin Wells comes out, for a day or whatever, he comes out of the game, Escara has a bat. I'm not sitting there like, oh crap, Trevino. Like Escara is a young, well, he's not super young. He's like 28, but he's a catcher I'm pretty excited about. Then you got the infield, Paul Goldschmidt, Oswald Peraza, who switched to 18. They finally got rid of the, 90, 91, something like that. And then Anthony Volpe. Peraza is down to no options, so they kept him. Then the outfielders, you got Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge. They list Cody Bellinger as utility. They also list Oswaldo Cabrera, who's going to stay at 95 as utility, as well as Jazz Chisum. And Pablo Reyes makes the team at 19. And if you didn't, you blink and you miss it, Ben Rice finally made my Juan Soto jersey a Ben Rice jersey, and I'm okay with it. So, yeah. What do you think about the roster?
Okay. Yeah. It makes Austin Wells look like a side of Parmesan fries on this menu. But I really do believe that there's a lot going on that needs to develop in order for this team to go where it needs to go. And I think in general, when people talk about the Yankees becoming the Yankees again, at some point or another, they're going to have to hit on multiple players. Now, obviously, the Dodgers didn't do this. You can do it a different way, right? You make a ton of money, you can spend a lot of money. But as I've mentioned before, the Yankees have committed to the fact that they're going to have to develop. And you look at Volpe, you look at Peraza, you mentioned he's out of options. Peraza is going to have to play, and you assume he's going to be at third base, and they're going to have to figure out, okay, who between Peraza, who between Cabrera is going to take the full-time third base role, right? You saw what happened with Jazz at second base today. I don't know about everybody else, but Jazz looked exponentially better defensively.
Yeah.
Than Gleyber Torres has ever looked at the second base position. Now, obviously, Gleyber Torres brought the bat, okay? And in the second half of last year, we can't just look at the entire season and just chalk him up to like he's chopped liver. No, in the second half of the year, his on base was over 400. He hit in October. So when you look at this roster, you're going to have to make sense of a couple of these young players. Take your pick of who's going to play well. And then you get to the offseason at the end of the season and say, okay, you see a Kyle Tucker, right? You see a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and you say, what is going to make the Yankees go get those guys? And it's going to be the fact that they're competitive while only spending massive amounts of money on an Aaron Judge, on a Garrett Cole, right? They can spend big money, but they can't spend big money everywhere. And that's what this sheet, to me, it just pops off the screen. You see a lot of young players. And of course, they've got veterans of the Yankees. They're going to have that. They brought in Devin Williams, veteran player. He's been around. Carrasco. I think Carrasco's probably the same age as Madonna. He's not young. So if you look at this roster, there's areas where if they do hit on a Ben Rice, I know, Jake, you've been very high on Ben Rice.
Yes.
He got a lot stronger this spring. It's been well documented. Now, just because you worked out doesn't mean you're going to be great. Just because you went and did some curls doesn't mean you're going to be a great player in year two. But what it does mean is that maybe mechanically he takes a step in the right direction. We love the swings that he took today, hit an absolute missile off the wall. And maybe when you put a real number on the guy, he's going to play like a real player. So I'm excited for what could be. I know I wasn't as high on Ben Rice as you were, Jake. I wanted a veteran presence, and of course they went and did that. But yeah, I'm hoping that the Yankees can hit on some of these guys, because if they do, it should mean, and I'm going to use the key word here, it should mean that the Yankees could be more aggressive when we need them to be at the trade deadline or in the offseason where the big dogs come to play. So a lot to happen, and we're going to figure it out probably by the deadline, maybe a couple months into the season. If you start seeing some young players like Jason Dominguez, where their Savant page looks kind of like this, where it looks like the Titanic looks like an iceberg. That's not good.
That's Carlos Carrasco. he had a good camp. I'm just reminding people he doesn't have anything crazy. He's not anything special. It's just when he has consistency, like he can be consistent. I mean, but there have been times, I mean, you look 5.64 ERA in 2024, 6.80 ERA in 2023. I mean, he has not been great as of late. So yeah, that is something to keep in mind. It's something that I'm definitely a little concerned with. So it's just to remind people, Gary, because you get caught up in these names and you're like, oh yeah, like he's on the Yankees, so he must be good. And I actually agreed with keeping Carrasco on the roster, right? But I think the Savant page is a little scary. And then you look at Ryan Yarbrough, right? And this is a guy that gets me a little excited because he's the situational aspect of Ryan Yarbrough. This is a guy that, I mean, you see there's a lot of blue, but the red is like 98th percentile type of stuff. Hard hit. Like this guy does not allow you to hit the ball hard at all, and so you're going to bring this guy in, like you said, when you have 100-degree weather in Florida and they're hitting the crap out of the ball and you're trying to do anything you can to slow it down. He doesn't have anything great with that fastball, but he's going to hit you with that curve. He's going to hit you with the sinker. Obviously, Matt Blake's wet dream there with the sinker. So It wasn't a surprise that they went out and got Yarbrough. I think he makes a lot of sense for them. And then you look at this roster again, and you look at guys like Pablo, Reyes. And I know some people, it happened. I bring it all the time. People get caught up with Torreyes, right? This was Pablo Reyes last year. So I'm not sitting here expecting him to be a spectacle or anything like that. I think it's important for people to realize just because he had a good camp doesn't mean he's necessarily going to have a great season. He is a bench guy. He's a guy that might play once a week, if even. But I think this is the year to really kind of let Oswaldo Cabrera or, just figure it out between him and Peraza. Because I'll tell you this right now, Gary. Cabrera's playing over Peraza not because of his glove, it's because of his bat. Peraza's bat, for whatever reason, has kind of fallen off a cliff. I don't know why. That was a big thing about why he was such a highly rated prospect at one point. But he's gotten really good with the glove, Gary, which is something that we used to talk about as like that's something he doesn't have. He was really good at third, in spring training. Cabrera's not bad at third, but he's got a much better bat. So I think that's what's going to keep him in the lineup. Yeah. And I think just kind of looking at this, I would expect the same lineup. I don't know why we have an off day in the middle of a 3-game set, but we do. Weird scheduling. I'm not going to lie to you. It is
off
weird
on a Friday for the Yankees.
Off on a Friday. Weird scheduling in that the Yankees open up the season against the Brewers. It's almost like the script writers knew that Devin Williams was going to get a chance to close against his former team in the first game of the season. Joke, of course. But it was weird, but it's so funny. We didn't bring up that we kind of did. We touched on a little bit, but didn't really explain it. Juan Soto started back-to-back seasons in Houston.
Yeah, it's really strange. It's really weird. It went very differently last year because he
hit the walk-off home run. Wasn't it? He hit the walk-off home run.
Yeah, but no, because he did didn't he? Wasn't that in the opening of the season where he went oppo against Josh Hader in Houston?
Yes. In Houston to start the season, he goes oppo on Josh Hader, and then he throws out the guy at home.
Right.
To end the game.
So, yeah, it is kind of crazy. But by the way, can I please do the movie?
Yeah, because I didn't even think about that.
Good. Because the movie is a movie that nobody saw. I just wanted to make a point. And it is Snow White. Nobody saw that. So if you've stuck around this long in the show, and we're at like an hour and 14, yeah, go ahead and drop Snow White in the comment section, but not, I guess, now. Wait till the video is like done and then drop it in.
Yes, guys, for real. If you could comment after the fact, like when we drop these, it'll really boost the algorithm because YouTube's like, oh, a bunch of people are interacting with this. Like, it would like almost be a cheat code in a way. So that would be cool if you guys could do that after the fact. But I think this was a pretty great first episode of the season. But I mean, I'm biased here because one, I'm one of the co-hosts, and two,
you are completely biased.
Yeah, and two, the Yankees won. Because you can't play the negative card every single game of the year. So it's like, if they lost today, it would have been like, oh, we're out of like the negative card for the rest of like the next week or so.
Well, I mean, let's be real though here, Jake.
Yeah.
If we lost today, there are going to be channels that are just like, see, this is what happens when you go cheap. You're going to be in last place, the last place Yankees. Then all of a sudden you go a week. And even if it doesn't matter which way it goes, you can always justify why it's never as important as what it is that you're looking at. Yankees win game 1. You could say, who gives a rip? It's game 1 of 162. They may be a wild card team. So what does it actually matter, right? But in order to win, and I think the magic number, most lines, DraftKings, all the different gambling sites, they have us at 89.5 wins. To get to 90 wins, you've got to win games like this. Close games where the tying run or the winning runs on base, and your closer that you brought in needs to shut it down. And we did that. So we need to continue doing that. Anytime we can get a win, I don't give a rip if it is March 27th. We need to win now. That has to be the mentality. We need to win today. And if you continue doing that, then you look up and say, oh, look, we're a 92-win team and we won the division. So that's my mentality, is that, yes, certain people are going to say, who cares? It's just one game. But, I mean, we literally podcast about this game and this team every single day. So you'll see the consistency, especially if you're new here, of how we cover this team. It's not going to be rock bottom if we lose, but we're going to treat every game like we have to win, because we do.
Yeah. I'll just say before we leave, because we got a lot of episodes in the future. Once again, reminding you guys that you can check out the interview I did with this guy right here, Gary Sheffield Jr., over on my channel, The Lounge. I can actually, because of technology, boom, there we are.
Nice.
So definitely check it out if you haven't already. It's basically how Gary, carved his own path in sports media. Really proud of him, by the way. He knows that, so it's not a shock. But so that it talks about fatherhood, all the good stuff. So if you want to get to know more about my co-host, the thumbnail scared you. What? Anyway, if you want to get to know more about my co-host here, be sure to check it out. The link has just been posted in the chat, so it'll also be pinned in the comment section below. But that's a wrap. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one. And any final thoughts, Gary, before we close this thing out?
Oh, God, no. Good win. My mom's Padres won. So,
congrats to your mom.
I'm hoping anyone in the NL West can do anything
to
stop that juggernaut that the Dodgers currently are. And I saw Scooble has who dropped that in there? BC has a 7.20 ERA, which tells me pretty sure he was pitching in LA. So I'm assuming the Dodgers are going to win this game, or they've already won. Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully the ERA goes up enough where they give the Yankees, it's like, oh, here, just take them off our hands. 7.20 ERA is bad, man. I don't know. I mean, small sample size or not, they might as well just trade Scooble to the Yankees at this point. I mean, I think he's just done.
Yeah. I feel bad for anyone scheduled to. Yeah, what did Glaber do today before we go? Did he do anything today?
Let me pull that up.
I know I'm not supposed to care about these guys now that they're not Yankees, but we have beards too.
I mean, I like Glaber, so. Did they play today?
Yeah, he plays for the Tigers, so he had to have played. They're losing 4-2.
Oh, duh! We just talking about the playing against the Dodgers.
No, so here he is. He has a hit. He's 1 for 4. I'm not. Actually, I'm gonna look. He doesn't have an error.
The hardest hit exit velocity for the Tigers today, 100.1 miles an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. And then top pitch velocity, of course, is Scooble. That dude throws just straight heat, all like 99 miles an hour.
Yeah. But I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm just, of course, hoping that this Yankees team can have enough talent to get us where we really always should be going. It should be the expectation. And people say we're going to come out of the American League. I know you think that. I think I give us a 20% chance for that to happen. I mean, I feel like that's still relatively high, but
I understand it's still not easy. Like, you have to win, 3 series to get there? No,
yeah.
2 if you win your division.
2 if you win your division. If we make it into wild card, I mean, you're asking a lot. And in general, what I've seen out of this division, I think Boston, especially the way we play Boston, it's going to be close. I'm going to say that.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us. We hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Also, be sure to drop a comment after this video letting us know your favorite thing and your least favorite thing about your day. That's going to do it. Also, real quick, just want to remind people that are watching this over on Twitter, while this is coming to an end, you would do us a huge solid if you could hand on over to Yankees Unloaded YouTube channel and just hit that subscribe button. Would really go a long way. We will continue to air on Twitter, but we are trying to get new people over onto YouTube. So that is going to do it. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys soon.
And like this video.